Hello, students, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Today, we are going to start a very important chapter from your economics book, Globalization and the Indian Economy. This is a really fascinating topic, mainly because it's not just something in a textbook, it's something you see and experience in your life every single day.
Just take a moment. Look at the things around you right now. Maybe the smartphone you were holding, or the shoes you were wearing. Have you ever stopped and wondered, where was this made? If you check the label, you might be surprised to see that it was made in a country far away from India. And that simple fact is a perfect way to start understanding our global world.
Think about the cars you see on the streets every day. There are so many different models, right? Cars from Japan, cars from Germany, cars from Korea, from America. We have so many choices today. This wide variety is something we've become so used to.
And it's not just about cars, is it? It's the same story for almost everything. Our clothes, our televisions, even the food we eat, and the apps we use on our phones. As consumers, we have an amazing number of choices available to us. But I want you to think about this. Has it always been like this in India?
Well, the answer to that question is a definite no. All this choice, this huge variety that you see in the markets today, this is actually a very new thing. If you get a chance, you should ask your parents or your grandparents about the kinds of products they had when they were young. They will tell you a very, very different story.
Let's look at this comparison. If we go back just about 2 or 3 decades, the Indian market was completely different. For example, if someone wanted to buy a car, their choices were basically the Ambassador and the Fiat. That was pretty much it. Now, compare that with today, where you can find models from nearly every major car company from all over the world. The change is massive.
So this leads us to the most important question of all. How did this happen? What was the reason for such a rapid and huge transformation of our markets? Well, the answer to that big question can be explained with one single powerful word.
And that word, students, is globalization. Now let us try to understand this term very clearly. Globalization is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between countries. Please pay close attention to these two keywords. Integration, which means the coming together of things, and interconnection, which means being linked to each other.
So how do countries become connected like this? It mainly happens in 3 ways. First, through the movement of goods and services, which we commonly call trade. Second, through the movement of money for investment. And third, through the movement of technology. In this chapter, we will be focusing on this economic aspect of globalization.
Okay, so now we know the definition. But you might ask, why is it so important for us to learn about this? Well, it's extremely important because globalization has a direct impact on our country, on the people who produce goods, on us as consumers, and even on the jobs available. It really affects all of us.
To make this concept of globalization really simple and clear, let's not just talk about definitions. Let's look at a simple, real-world story. This is the story of how Chinese toys came into the Indian market.
On your screen, you can see what a normal toy shop in India used to look like. For a very long time, these shops were full of toys that were made by Indian manufacturers. But then things started to change when new kinds of toys, especially those from China, started to appear in our shops.
Now, what happened next is really interesting because it happened so quickly. So first, manufacturers in China began exporting their plastic toys to India. These toys were often cheaper, and they had new designs that kids liked. So what happened next? Well, Indian buyers, parents and children, started choosing the Chinese toys. It makes sense, right? They were getting more variety at a lower price. And the result of this? It was dramatic. Within just 1 year, about 70 to 80% of the toy shops had replaced Indian toys with these Chinese toys.
This simple story of toys shows us a very important point. As your textbook says, foreign trade thus results in connecting the markets, or integration of markets in different countries. What this means is that through trade, the toy market in India and the toy market in China became connected. They integrated.
Now this brings us to a very crucial point that you must remember. Globalization is not just good or bad. It's more complex. Think about it. For Indian consumers, it was a good thing. They got cheaper toys and more choice. But what about the Indian toy makers? For them, it was very difficult. They faced huge losses because of this new and tough competition. So you see, there are always 2 sides to the story.
So, let's quickly recap what we have learned so far. Globalization is the process of growing interconnection and integration between different countries. This happens mainly through trade, investment, and technology. And this entire process has completely transformed the markets we see around us today.
Now, this naturally leads us to our next question. who are the main players making all of this happen? A very big role is played by large companies that operate in many countries at the same time. We call them multinational corporations, or MNCs. But how do these MNCs actually work? How do they produce things in so many different places and sell them all over the world? Well, that is exactly what we are going to explore in our next topic.